Hi, everyone. It's Bev DeBono, and I have a great technique for you today. And we are going to be using one of your border punches, one of your standalone border punches to make a wreath. Now, it's fun because normally with a standalone punch, we do a straight line. And I'm going to show you a trick on how to make these wreaths. And there's a real trick to them, but they're a lot of fun to make. So the one I'm going to be doing tonight is using the snow-capped mountain. Believe it or not, that is the snow-capped mountain punch. I also tried it with the cloud punch. And I also tried the technique with the floral peaks. So let's get started. I'm going to be using the snow-capped mountain punch again tonight. You're going to need 2 sheets of paper and a base or a cardstock base. So I am going to be doing the wreath again, and you want an outer base and an inner base. So I'm going to be using, I think I'm just going to go with white for my base. The bigger wreath is going to be this color, and then the inside wreath will be the darker color. Or maybe I'll flip that around. Yeah, I think I'm going to flip that around. Okay, so the first thing that you have to do is start with the one that's going to be on the outside. So your bigger layer. Actually, I think I'm going to go back to this. And we're going to need the jumbo circle template. So for this technique, you need the jumbo circle template. And then you also need circle number 3. So if you haven't labeled your circles yet, it's a really good idea to label them. The smallest is circle 1. I just put a little label on the back. The smallest is circle 1. The medium is circle 2. And the larger one is circle 3. We're going to be using circle 3 tonight. So these are the 2 circles that we are going to be using. Okay, so I'm doing my outside edge first, and this is the bigger one. And I'm going to put my jumbo circle on here, and I'm going to make sure that it is as centered as it possibly could be. And then I'm going to use the blue blade on the outside. Blue blade on the outside. Okay, so center it as best you can. Hold it down. Blue blade on the outside. And this is going to cut very close to your edge. Blue blade on the outside. Okay, and you can always use these pieces later on top of another page to give you a nice template. Okay, I'm going to cut around here first before I do anything else. And I'm going to, you can mark these, at all of the corners. I find it's just easier for me. I'm just going to flip it over. I'm going to flip over my tool, my punch. I'm going to use this side of the paper because you could see it, I think, a little bit better. I'm going to put my paper into the punch all the way in the back and kind of center it. So you see where the punch, the paper is in the punch. Make sure that you have, so on the upper right and on the upper left, what you want to do is make sure that your spacing is about the same away from the punch. Okay, punch and turn it over. Okay, so now you have your first punch. And then I'm going to move my punch down right to where this punch piece will start, where this piece has started. So I'm just going to put it all the way to the back again. Line this end of where you just punched to this section of the punch itself. And if you go a little bit over, that's okay. Is this side easier to see? Let's see. No, I think it's a little confusing. Okay. So then I'm going to so when you put your paper in, you could see, and then just move your paper slightly down so that you've covered this edge here where it's just punched itself. And this is the same for any of the punches that you're going to use. Okay, and then again, make sure that your paper is pushed all the way to the back and you have the same amount of space that your paper is showing at the upper right and the upper left. Punch and turn it over. The reason we turn it over is because some of these punches have a lot of little pieces and we don't want them to get jammed up back into the punch. Okay. Don't worry if you have little whiskers or little tags like this that are sticking out. That's not a problem. We'll be cutting that with the micro tip scissor. And we're just going to continue this all the way down. The important thing is just to try to center as best you can the roundness in a square punch. So we're putting us around, what do they always say? You can't fit a square peg in a round hole. Well, we're trying to fit a round paper into a square punch. So you just have to play with it and just eyeball it and make sure you have about the same space showing in between the tops at the top right and the top left. Like I said, don't worry if you have any of these little whiskers sticking out. It's all going to come together, and it's the same if you're using a cloud punch or a mandala punch. And sometimes when you get to the end, if you have to punch over something, and no worries, we'll just cover it with a die cut or a sticker. This is certainly the faster way to do it. Just using my tool as sort of the measuring guide. So I'm just taking my time. I'm going all the way around. And when you get to the last punch, so I have this last section here. So I'm just going to now try to center my punch, my paper into the punch. So I'm going to have space on both sides of it. Okay, and that is, so you see I've got all of the little whiskers still on there. Now I'm just going to take my micro tip scissor and all these little whiskers that are here that are sticking out. I'm just going to go with the flow of the punch and just kind of, just cut them. Maybe you could see better on this side. Cut them so that it blends better with the flow of the punch. I'll turn it over again so you could just see. I'm just cutting the little whiskers off. No problem. And even if you've measured it, if you measure it in half and half and half and half again, you will still have these whiskers. So it's nothing that you're going to get away from. It's just a fun Okay, and once you have that all cut and you've got all your whiskers off, I'll turn it this side, it's easier to see. Put it back on your mat and center it back on your mat. And now we're going to take circle number 3. We're going to take circle number 3 and we're going to center that in here. So now if you're not sure where the center is, when you look at circle number 3, the backs of the circles have these little rubber pieces here, these clear little rubber pieces, and they are marked. There are 4 of them. There are 4 little rubber pieces. Those actually are little pieces to keep your template from moving all around, but we're going to use them kind of as a, they're actually there for measurements as well. And so they are measured from equally divided 6 inches across both directions. So put it directly on your mat. And if you're not sure if this is right in the middle, what I do is I just take another piece of paper. I'm going to line my paper up here on my mat from the 6 inches down to the 6 inches. Okay, and I'm going to see that those little clear plastic pieces are exactly at the midpoint there. So it's right in the middle. They're both lined up at the 6 inch and 6 inch. And then I'm going to do that across the bottom. So I see that even though I have the top lined up, the bottom has to shift up just a little bit. Okay, so now that I know that this is perfectly centered, I have circle number 3. I'm doing the red blade on the outside. Red blade on the outside. Okay, and this is your bigger circle. This is the one that's going to go behind. Okay, so that is your base. That's the base that I'm going to be working with. And now we're going to do that again for the inner piece. We're just going to change our blades. So let's take our second piece of paper. And we're going to start with the jumbo again. But this time, we're going to use the red blade on the outside. Last time we used the blue, it was bigger. This time we're using the red. It's a little bit smaller. Okay, center your template onto your paper and the red blade on the outside. We're going to go all the way around. Red blade on the outside. Sometimes I just put my whole hand on it just to hold it down all the way. Oops, I must have shimmied it just a bit. No worries. Okay. Okay, now guess what? We're going to do the same thing we just did with the first circle. We're going to put a circle into a square punch. So here we go. Put your punch upside down. Try to get as much of your paper all the way to the back. And try to center it, making sure that what you have at the top, right and left, is about the same distance from the top. And then rotate just like we did before. Move your punch down and rotate. Not to worry if you have the whiskers popping out. We're going to cut those off. And punch. Punch and turn it upside down. I really like this snow-capped mountain punch. It's really really very pretty. And fun that you could use it for other things as well. Okay, and then when I get down to my last one, I have to try to center this inside. And oh, so careful. Okay, so that turned out fine. And now we're going to take our micro tip and we are going to just clip off any of these little whiskers that are hanging out. Just go with the flow of your punch. Doesn't have to be perfect, just kind of groove it along. Oops. And scissor wants to go into the mountain. Okay, here we go, all set. Okay, so now that is our inside punch. Our inside punch. And now we're going to line it up and we are going to we're going to cut the center. Oh, I just missed one. We're going to cut out the center like we did with the first one. So center your piece right onto your mat. And you can see on your mat, if this is, line up your edges, half an inch. If it's half an inch, you can kind of see where this particular one is lined up. And we're going to use circle number 3 again, exact same circle that we used. We're going to put these plastic little feet, okay, the 4 plastic little feet at the 6-inch and the 6-inch marks all around your mat. Okay, and if you're not sure if it's centered, just get a piece of paper or a ruler and then just kind of move it so that it's centered on the little feet there. I love using the tools to measure. It does make it so much faster. Okay, and now that you have that centered, now we're going to use the red blade on, I'm sorry, the blue blade on the outside. Blue blade on the outside. So now this is going to cut a little bit bigger. Okay, and there we go. And now you're just ready to layer and embellish. So when you put your wreaths together, just try to offset them. So like in this case, I'm not going to put the mountains like exactly on top of each other. I'm going to offset the mountains. And the trick is to really get it nice and centered on that center. And so what I've done now is to just kind of, with my repo tape, kind of place it so that it so that I keep this center piece, here more centered. That center circle, very centered. So I'm just going to kind of tape that down first. Okay, and now you're ready to tape down your entire wreath onto your base. So now I'm going to use my repo on the outer edges of my entire wreath. And this particular one I am going to be using for those of you who send out holiday cards or greeting cards. I'm certainly going to be using this for my card this year. And I'll show you that when I finish getting this set. Okay, so this is then just centered on your base. And then you can go ahead and decorate it. Now, this is where embellishments and stickers come in handy. Let's say for some reason you had cut into it, or for your punch didn't line up or whatever. Don't worry about it, because all you have to do, let's say you have a big piece here that somehow didn't come out right, not to worry, just add an embellishment or a sticker, kind of like that. I'm going to add another one down here. And my little cardinals right there. Okay, so this is how it would look. That's my wreath for tonight. And so as I said, I was going to use this for my, if you have a holiday card, it's a fun way to put your holiday card and make it a centerpiece for the year. We always do a whole writing here on the back. So I would do a peekaboo pocket on this so that it can get flipped up or flipped over so that you could read it. It's great for a 5x7 photo. I have another one, of course, my favorite, the Rockefeller Center Christmas tree. It would work really well for a 5x7 photo, but you can also use these with 4x6s. So on the blue one, you could put a couple of 4x6s or 4x4s. So this is some 4x6s, and you can overlap them if you want. Or you can have it go this way, and then put your title right here in the middle. Or you can also put some 4x4s on here. 4x4s are fun because you're only really cutting little pieces off. So you can do some 4x4s or 3x3s. These are all kind of fun. Or you could do a 4x6 and 2 3x3s based on your title. You know, so this is kind of a fun layout. It's great for like a title. Like I said, I was going to put this for my to start my Christmas of this year. This is going to be my title page for my Christmas of this year album. So let me know which one you like the best. I'm going to take these mats out so you can see the wreaths better. And do you like Valentine's? Do you like the blue cloud, or the Christmas wreaths? So please subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's Bev DeBono Designs, and you will get notified every time I post a video. I usually post one every week, and I hope that you join me for another class. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.